So for the actual practice, we will be doing 3 meditation sessions, the first of which will be on settling body, speech, and mind in their natural states, and then on specifically settling the mind in its natural state, observing the mind as a practice of shamatha. Then for the second session, we will practice loving kindness, which works quite nicely with Lama Alan's Tibetan name, Jampa Kelsang, which literally translates as the good aeon of loving kindness. And then for this third session, we will do a little bit of Guru Yoga, connecting to our deepest nature by imagining it symbolically in the form of Guru Rinpoche, who for us would also represent all the lineage and root that we have a connection to as well. So to do the first meditation, which will be on settling our body, speech, and mind in their natural state, I would invite all of us to find a comfortable stationary position. This can be the supine position, which Lama Alan always encourages us to use when our body feels tired or just needs that extra element of ease. Or it can be an upright position in which we're sitting comfortably, either with our legs crossed or with our feet flat on the ground, for example, sitting on the chair. And once we have established this comfortable stationary position, the first thing to do is to adjust all the elements of our posture, all the elements of our body in a way which would transform our body into a mandala, a beautiful configuration that supports contemplative practice. And this configuration revolves around the central axis of our spine, so we can very gently ensure it's elongated, and then allow all the other body parts to be comfortably at rest, supporting us in the process of gradually releasing all types of deliberate physical, verbal, and mental activity. We can briefly direct our awareness to the parts of the body that are currently in contact with the ground beneath us. Noticing the sensations of firmness and stability in those areas. Resting with those experiences and then allowing them to gradually start spreading out so that this process of releasing physical tension encompasses the entirety of our legs, our pelvic floor, our torso, our shoulders, our arms and hands, all the way down to the tips of our fingers. And then finally, our neck and face. allowing our breath to move naturally without any attempts to control its volume, its pace, its depth. Instead, expressing trust in the body's ability to breathe in a manner that would be most conducive to our general well-being, and more specifically to this process of practicing right now. And then, once we have established this uncontrived, this natural process of breathing, resting with the sensations of breathing as they arise, move, and disappear throughout the space, the tactile space of the body. Allowing this natural breathing to take away all the different types of tension. First, physical, but in addition to that, all the types of tension that propel us towards neurotic verbal activity, whether on the level of outer speech or on the level of inner speech, where we can't seem to stop the inner narration, the inner dialogue sometimes. Allowing the breath to wash all of that away. To soothe our body, our subtle nervous system, and our mind, which through this starts resting in the here and now, in the immediacy of the present moment. And then, with this natural equilibrium established through attending to the breath, we take some moments to generate a truly vast and positive motivation for not just this short meditation, but for the entirety of our time together. Aspiring for the things that to us seem the most significant, the most profound, the most important. For example, fully uncovering our incredible potential, our basic goodness, for the benefit of all beings. And in the service of that, aspiring to fully absorb the precious instructions that we have received from our precious teachers, including Lama Alan Wallace and many, many others, so that those teachings would have an alchemical effect on our mind, transforming us all into beacons of wisdom and compassion in this world. And so honoring and embodying that transmission. And in the spirit of aspiring for that, we gently turn towards the practice of settling the mind in its natural state, also known as taking the mind as the path, or simply shamatha focused on the mind. And for that, we direct our awareness to our mental consciousness, to the space of the mind and whatever's arising in it. And if it feels a little bit difficult to do straight away, we can use an artificial image or a thought as a key for focusing our awareness on that specific domain of experience. So we can imagine an apple or think hello, and then just hold that artificial mental event for a little while before allowing it to fade away. And then holding our awareness, our ability to observe, to cognize in that domain of mental experiences, watching the flow of thoughts, images, memories, desires, emotions. And gently withdrawing our awareness from the visual, the auditory, the tactile, and also the domains of taste and smell. Still resting with a relaxed body and a naturally flowing breath. But like a shepherd, attending to the inner sheep of our mind, the mental events, and the space in which they arise, without distraction and without grasping. Whenever our introspection, our faculty of introspection notices that we have become lost in a particular story, or maybe distracted by outer objects, sounds, smells, and so forth, we gently take a step back to then focus our awareness on the domain of the mind, on the flow of mental events arising in it, following the very familiar strategy of relax, release, and return. watching the mind, the space of the mind and the events in it with curious commitment, with a certain degree of curiosity, with a resolve to not get distracted, and at the same time with a profound sense of ease, in which our body, for example, continues breathing naturally. And then, slowly and gently, returning our awareness to the domain of the body, returning to the somatic field, noticing the sensations and grounding our awareness there. And then mentally dedicating the energy of this brief session, introducing a tiny bit of movement to the body by perhaps rocking back and forth, moving our fingers, smiling, and so forth. And slowly returning to the space around us and to this shared online space to take a very brief break that we will use to take good care of our body before the next session of practice. And that's exactly what we do. We just take about 60 seconds to readjust our position if necessary, to drink some water or drink some tea, to wake ourselves up if we're feeling slightly drowsy, and vice versa, to relax more deeply if we're feeling a bit agitated, and then gradually returning to a stationary position that would support us in the next meditation, which will be on the theme of loving kindness. And so since we're going to be practicing loving kindness, once again, because Lama Alan teaches loving kindness so often, and because his Tibetan monastic name, the name that he used when he was a monk for many years, is Jampa Kelsang, a good aeon of loving kindness. Since we're going to be doing loving kindness practice, the first act to undertake is to take good care of our body in the spirit of loving kindness. And that means that we are once again returning to a position that would support a profound sense of ease. And we undertake the initial step, initial stage of settling our body, speech, and mind in their natural states. And once again, this is where there's a lot of benefit in allowing our awareness to descend into the depths of the body, right down to the ground, to the parts of the body in contact with the ground, experiencing the sensations of stability and firmness that we can entrust ourselves to. And it's this experience of stillness, ease, stability, trustworthiness that will allow to gradually start expanding throughout our body once again. Allowing it to engulf our legs all the way up to the pelvic floor and its muscles. And then our torso. Checking if we can detect any knots of tension there. And either just being aware of them with a sense of gentleness and ease, or directing our attention to them while the natural process of breathing is moving throughout our body. And then allowing these tactile waves to just wash away all these knots, bringing us to a deeper level of relaxation. And then the same with our hands between our shoulders and the fingertips. And the same with our face. And then allowing this entire bubble of material energy, our body, all the appearances of the body, to continue resting in a state of ease, breathing naturally. And on the level of our mind, revisiting a vast and positive motivation for this practice, which would hopefully also be the motivation for living a contemplative life in general, for being a contemplative. Our most profound wish to fully uncover our incredible potential for the benefit of all beings. Knowing that this process would include practicing incredible levels of loving kindness and its sister states of compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. So with the wish to succeed in that, we gently bring our awareness to ourselves as a person, our first object in this practice. This interbraiding of different threads of interdependence and causality. Our body, our speech, our mind, our name. This interdependently existent person sitting and practicing here, breathing naturally, and on a deeper level, constantly trying to find greater levels of happiness and well-being, to find happiness and the causes of happiness. We register this foundational wish, which is said to be an expression of our Buddha nature, our basic goodness. And then we start breathing loving kindness into this very being, by wishing, may I be happy and have the causes of happiness. Or depending on the formula of loving kindness that we might be more familiar with, we could, for example, think, may I be well and happy, or use other system of loving kindness phrases, as they're sometimes called. The essence is that we're generating this wish for happiness and its causes to be experienced by this very being, and we rest with that. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. Still breathing naturally, not holding the breath artificially, not trying to force it either, but if we wish, using the natural exhalation to strengthen the aspiration, strengthen the wish of loving kindness. As if we were pumping this wish of loving kindness into this system of interdependence that we call ourselves. May I be well and happy. And at the same time, also using this as an opportunity to train in shamatha, in focused, gathered, concentrated attention. And so if we catch ourselves slipping into a nebulous, lax, dull state, we bring some energy to the aspiration, making it more vibrant in our mind, bringing in the subjective clarity of this wish, of our awareness. And if by contrast, we're catching ourselves getting distracted by thoughts, or maybe even inner objections to the wish of loving kindness, we just gently pull ourselves away from those, withdraw our attention to refocus it on this person and on the loving kindness we're projecting towards this person. And then very gently allowing ourselves to expand the scope of our maitri, our metta, our loving kindness, by thinking of all the other practitioners participating in this practice with us, in real time or by means of a recording, or simply because they combine their intention with ours. Thinking of an interconnected system of practitioners, a mandala of practitioners all across the world. And knowing that even if we can't imagine them visually, even if we don't know the exact number of practitioners participating in this with us, each individual would, like us, want to be happy and have the causes of happiness. Each individual would have their own unique vision of this happiness and the way for them to progress towards it. But there are also absolutely common themes there as well, and common potential. Just like us, these beings can also flourish, shaking off all the problematic patterns and expressing incredible levels of wisdom and compassion, wisdom and love. So, may we be happy and have the causes of happiness. We generate loving kindness for all of us at the same time. And we rest in this aspiration once again, training in shamatha and cultivating the quality itself. May we be happy and have the causes of happiness. Still breathing naturally and still using the breath to strengthen the aspiration if we wish. May we be happy and have the causes of happiness. And from this already rather large circle of beings, we step into the boundless circle of all sentient beings by thinking of how all beings like us want to be happy and can potentially flourish. Not simply in terms of a certain level of hedonic well-being, but in terms of boundless eudaimonic well-being associated with full awakening and all the steps leading up to that. So may all beings be happy and have the causes of happiness. resting in this aspiration, strengthening it, and at the same time, allowing the distinct self, the distinct sense of selfhood to gradually dissolve in this ocean of boundless loving kindness. So it's not as much us sending loving kindness to all beings. Rather, this aspiration is manifesting from within each being, from their basic goodness. And we're simply resting in that. And when necessary, withdrawing our awareness into this state to avoid both agitation and laxity. We then let go of the process of consciously generating the aspiration, let go of thoughts, images, and so forth, and we simply rest in open clarity, which might contain an afterglow of loving kindness. And then we dedicate the energy of this practice to our highest spiritual or psychological aspirations. We return to the space of the body to notice the tactile experiences, the sensations, to rest there, grounding our awareness once again. And then we invite some movement into the body and conclude the practice to temporarily return to our shared space. And once again, we'll just use this space to take a little break, to move around, to stretch, to do a little bit of exercise, to drink some water, all in the spirit of loving kindness, before we return to our final meditation for today, which will be focused on Guru Rinpoche or Padmasambhava as the archetypal embodiment of all root and lineage lamas and of our own basic goodness. So we can think of it in all these ways. And so returning to a comfortable stationary position so that we can do a little bit of this practice, which will involve the use of imagination, which will involve, if we choose to, chanting a mantra and so forth, but which will begin with settling our body, speech, and mind in their natural states once again. And so we bring our awareness down into the body to connect with its tactile experiences, and we observe the somatic field by allowing our breath to move naturally and noticing the associated sensations. bringing our awareness all the way down to the ground, where the body is touching the ground, and just resting with that experience of stillness, firmness, stability. Allowing the tactile waves associated with the breath to wash away all types of tension and all concerns related to the past or the future. Attending to the movements of the breath to also gradually soothe our subtle nervous system and, of course, our mind. And then with our body resting deeply, finding greater and greater levels of relaxation and release with each out breath, we can use our mind to once again revisit a truly vast and positive motivation for this practice. Our highest spiritual or psychological aspirations, ideally related to the benefit of all beings, and to the uncovering of our deepest potential. So in an act of cognitive intelligence, we quite literally tell ourselves, I'm practicing in order to, and we express those aspirations. And then we return to the state of resting in open spaciousness, not binding our awareness to any particular reference point, and yet also not succumbing to dullness and laxity. And out of this union of luminosity and cognizance, our mind's conventional nature appears on the level of our imagination, a pure dimension of incredible natural beauty. We imagine ourselves in a beautiful, pure realm or pure land, where we're joined by all beings to perform a practice which will help us connect to the archetypal Guru principle. And so we imagine ourselves surrounded by majestic mountains, verdant fields, streams of water, beautiful trees, and manifold sounds of the Dharma. And in the open sky in front of us, on a beautiful multicolored lotus flower and a flat moon disk, a cushion in the shape of a moon disk, appears Guru Padmasambhava, also known as Guru Rinpoche. And we contemplate his form, seeing it as an embodiment of our own basic goodness or Buddha nature, and all the lineage lamas and our root lamas, our teachers in this life, our most important teachers. Seeing him in several layers of robes that represent different vehicles of practice, holding a vajra, a golden vajra, to his heart, a skull cup with a long life vase on his lap, in a so-called lotus crown with a feather of a vulture, surrounded by an aura of rainbow light, representing 5 types of wisdom, with a compassionate and smiling face, looking at us and all beings with affection and profound wisdom. The embodiment of all the 4 enlightening activities, the ability to pacify, to enrich, to magnetize, and to eliminate obstacles. And so in this moment of connecting to Guru Rinpoche, we can also think of which of these 4 activities we right now especially need. Do we need troubles and obstacles to be pacified? Do we need wisdom, kindness, or material resources to be enriched or multiplied? Do we need to magnetize resources and beings or aims associated with wisdom and compassion? Or do we need some obstacles, some deep-seated afflictions to be eliminated? Guru Rinpoche represents our own ability to fulfill and to perform all of those, and a field of ancestral energy of wisdom that we can connect to invite those activities, the lineage of transmission. And so to align our body, speech, and mind with these qualities, we contemplate Guru Rinpoche's presence and enlightening influence and his form. We contemplate his wisdom speech, which for us right now might manifest as his mantra, and of course, all of his teachings as well. And we contemplate his wisdom inseparable from compassion, or wisdom with a heart of compassion. And we imagine our body, speech, and mind transforming step by step into a semblance of Guru Rinpoche's body, speech, and mind. And to facilitate this alchemical process for ourselves and all beings, we can also, if we wish, chant a little bit of his mantra, a 12-syllable mantra or Vajra Guru mantra. And when we do that, if we like to use visualization, we can imagine a rain of blessing implements, lights, and nectar showering down on us and all beings and transforming all the facets of our experience. Orbs of light, mantric syllables, vajras, bells, skull cups, long life vases, lotus flowers, and so forth. A blizzard of these symbols descending upon us and all beings to transform our experience. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padmasambhava Hum. 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 And then taking a moment to also imagine that we have become just like Guru Rinpoche, and that the afflictions of all kinds have been removed, outer obstacles, inner obstacles, and obstacles of the most profound or secret level. And to signify that, Guru Rinpoche himself travels to our crown, sits above us for a little while, and then melts into a cloud of rainbow light which absorbs into us, blessing us with the union. And so we think and feel my body, speech, and mind, Guru Rinpoche's body, speech, and mind, and the body, speech, and mind of my actual teachers who express Guru Rinpoche's qualities in this life are one. And then out of this radiant, luminous spaciousness arises the dedication of energy or merit, in which we think about all the positive aspirations that we have, including full awakening for the benefit of all beings, the pacification of all the obstacles and problems in this world, all types of incorrect perception, all problematic behavioral thinking and emotional patterns, all outer crystallized expressions of human ignorance. And we also dedicate this energy to the long life of all the true spiritual masters, and for those masters who have passed away to quickly return to this domain, manifesting their bodhisattva forms to guide all beings. And to express that aspiration, we'll read the long life prayer for Lama Alan Wallace, composed by Dagmola and Dagma Jamyang Pelmo. May the teacher Shakyamuni great Vajradhara, and the one who holds the mysteries of all the jinas, Padmasambhava, make firm the lotus feet of those who uphold the teachings and make the Buddha's deeds to shine like the sun and moon. The one who showers a great rain of love on beings in faraway lands and sustains them with the nectar of the Buddha's teaching, the one of limitless good fortune, that great being known as Alan Wallace, may his life be long. In Jambudvipa, in general, and especially in the West, you illumine the genus teachings like sunlight. O Master, may your lifespan and deeds be extensive, and may you guide all beings on the path to liberation. And then as the final note for this practice today, the aspiration of nonviolence, so that practice of nonviolence and compassion spreads in this world and in our own hearts. May the precious conduct of nonviolence arise where it has not arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to increase forevermore. And on this auspicious note, we would like to just thank all of you for participating, for joining us in this practice, whether you have joined live or by means of a recording. There's a donation link in the chat and underneath this recording on YouTube, in case you want to contribute to CCN's attempts to continue running classes of this nature and many other offerings. And we're very much hoping to see all of you in the future in one of our online or offline events. And of course, wishing a very happy day of celebration to all of you who see yourself as Lama Alan's students. This is a wonderful day for all of us to continue studying and practicing his teachings and spreading wisdom and compassion in this world. So once again, deep bows of gratitude and hoping to see all of you soon. Thank you so much and bye-bye.